Good afternoon, and welcome back for another Vodacall One webinar. I'm Kyle. I'm a project manager and head of customer education, and I have Dan with us, who is our sales engineer. We're going to give folks a few more minutes to join in. So for those who are here, we'll go over a couple quick housekeeping items. In the bottom right corner of your screen, you have a questions tab. So if you have any questions as we go through, feel free to type them in there, send them our way. Only Dan and I can see your questions. We'll do our best to answer your questions as we go through, but we will take time at the end to answer all your questions. Right next to the questions tab is a polls tab. Please hop over in the polls and tell us what you want to learn about next, and we'll be back next month with another Vodacall One webinar.
Woohoo!
What's that?
I just said woohoo.
Yeah. For those who are new to our webinar series, we like to spotlight a particular feature each month and educate you on the tools and the services that you have available to you. We have previous webinars on our website. So if you hop on over to vodacall.com, across the top, you'll click on the resources tab and then select on-demand webinars. You can see our past webinars. If you see anything that piques your interest on those past webinars, or if you want to have a more in-depth conversation about what you see today, feel free to send an email to support@vodacall.com. We'll schedule time with you and have an in-depth conversation and see how these can benefit you and get some auto attendants or Teams integrations program for you. So this month we brought back our phone jokes. So if you brought a phone joke with you, throw it in that questions tab. I have a joke. I don't know if it's a joke or more of a real question, but why do some people still have landlines? If you know the answer, you can put it in the questions tab too.
I don't see anything yet, but
no. So I guess I'll give the answer.
I don't know, Kyle. Why do people still have landlines?
To call their cell phone if they lose it. I know. So like, it's like
I had a good one yesterday.
Yeah, which one? Hey, so how do oysters call each other?
There was it. I got this one. Does anybody know the answer? No? All right. Shell phones.
Yeah.
I told Kyle yesterday he would make a good dad one day with these terrible jokes.
Someday it might happen, but not right now. What's a pirate's favorite phone?
I don't know, Kyle. What's a pirate's favorite phone?
An iPhone.
Oh, God.
It's so hard to find a good phone joke.
All right. That's all right. Yeah, no, I mean, they're tough. Telecom jokes are tough. I'll just jump in as Kyle said here today, folks. I'd just like to remind everybody that we're here to kind of review features with you, talk about things that are included. The nice thing about the Vodacall One solution is everything is included within the solution. So any feature functionality that we have is available to you at no additional charges. And so part of what we like to do is just bring you up to speed and talk through different applications for things. Today we chose Auto Attendants, which some might say is, not an overly interesting thing. I think a lot of people understand what they are and what they do, but we'll kind of walk you through it. Let's not think of this so much as a training as we do think of it as a, just an informational session. If there is a moment, like Kyle said, that you want to get some training, you can either just shoot down. Diana said that was a good one. Thanks, Diana. You can just shoot down a question in the, can someone give me a buzz about this afterwards? And we'll be sure to reach out to you. Or if you do always just want to email support@vodacall.com, we will go right ahead and get something scheduled with you to talk about, this further, make any changes. Again, we are a fully managed solution. So we're always here and available to help you with anything that you need, even if it's just questions about how you might do something. That's something that's available to you. So without further ado, I'll zip my mouth and Kyle here can take over.
All right. So today's topic is how to manage and leverage auto attendants to best serve your internal and external customers. And what we're going to go over today is, what is an auto attendant, how auto attendants can optimize your call routing, and how to manage and leverage auto attendants. We'll hop in the portal, do a little tutorial, and after our tutorial, we do have some case studies that we will go over as examples how auto attendants can better serve your internal and external customers. Then we'll throw a slide up to show you links to our resources and training materials. So I'm going to hand this one back over to Dan.
All right. So, I mean, first things first, what is an internal external customer? I know actually that's probably why you all came today, was you said, what is an internal external customer? Really, when we talk about, and Vodacall is very focused on customer experience, our main focus is customer experience. We pride ourselves on being a customer experience organization, but that's not just customers in the traditional sense, whether that's patients or, clients or customers. It also is your employees, right? And increasing their experience. A lot of folks are wearing a lot of hats these days, and an auto attendant can help increase the internal customer experience for folks by identifying calls that are coming through, or by freeing up some time that they used to spend answering calls, and maybe they're doing some different things now, or there's less people in the office on given days. And we'll go over, like as Kyle said, some case studies in a little while to go through that. But it's about making your employees' day go as smoothly as possible and be as efficient as possible, and about routing your customers to the people that they need to get to as efficiently as possible as well. So that would be why we're talking about internal and external customers are going to be your employees, and then your customers, and then internal and external customer experience is going to be, how is their day, and then how is your day? And that's it.
Yep. Absolutely. So ultimate customer experience is the ultimate goal. So what is an auto attendant? An auto attendant is a tree. It's a menu of options that enables callers to navigate quickly to what they need, whether it's a team member, a department, or a directory. It's also known as a virtual receptionist. It's routing calls for you. So it's answering calls and routing calls for you. So for example, if you had 10 calls coming in at once, an auto attendant is going to handle and direct all 10 calls simultaneously. But if you had somebody manning the phones, they're not going to be able to direct all those callers all at once. Therefore, callers are now waiting for the person to pick the call back up and transfer them and so forth. So that's a great example of enhancing the internal and external customer experience. An example of an auto attendant would be, say, if I had Kyle's Music Shop. If you call my main number, immediately my auto attendant would answer saying, "Thank you for calling Kyle's Music Shop. If you know your party's extension, you may dial at any time. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. For general assistance, press 1. For repairs, press 2. For a directory, press 3. And to repeat this menu, press the star key." So that's an example of a real basic auto attendant. They can obviously get more in depth, which we'll hop on the portal and show you a little bit more a little bit later. Anything else you want to add to this one, Dan?
No, I think that covers it. Again, it's just a way to make it so that you can direct calls and route calls, whether it's during business hours or after business hours, and you have choices to move those calls around and as you see fit.
Absolutely. And what are some basic auto attendant functions? So an auto attendant, once again, is automatically answering your calls, and callers are going to hear that message. And based upon your message, callers will select a menu option and be routed per your greeting. You can also use auto attendants for general announcements, general company announcements, whether it's perhaps an early closing for inclement weather, or if you're closed for a holiday. There's other scenarios too, which we'll explain a little bit more on some case studies. It also can be used as a line of defense for robocalls. If you kind of get inundated with robocalls can't press the menu option to get past that. So, that's something we do here fairly commonly once in a while. So we like to present auto attendant as an option to combat robocalls. You can also do call routing with tagging. And I'll let Dan dive into that just a little bit more.
Okay. So when we talk about call routing with tagging, we have a case study that we'll review in just a few minutes. And that is, the auto attendant. And when Kyle shows it to you, the auto attendant has the ability to add a little tag that will show up on the screen of your physical phone. It'll show up on the screen of your web phone or of your mobile phone, but it'll add a little tag to it. So we can route calls to the same people. 5 different calls could go to the same person, but they would know why they're answering that call. So if your operator also handle, maybe the person who is your reception is 0, but is also in the sales group. When they press the sales group, they'll see sales. When they press the operator group, they'll see operator, and they'll know what the person was trying to reach them for, which can be helpful, especially if you are, again, wearing multiple hats.
Absolutely. All right. So what can we do to optimize call routing with auto attendants? So you can place auto attendants in different places in your call flow. Of course, you can have the main number ring straight to an auto attendant. Or if you're a company that prefers to do a live answer, you can have calls route to your hunt group or call queue. We would then create a rule within those hunt groups or call queues saying after so much time or how a certain amount of rings, that call will then flow over to the auto attendant. You can have an auto attendant for business hours, after hours. We have some doctors' offices who use a different menu for lunch hours. So they'll have 3 or maybe 4 auto attendants. So again, you can use auto attendants to the best way you see fit for your organization. You can have as many auto attendants as you want. There's no cost. As Dan mentioned earlier, our Vodacall One platform is simply one cost that includes everything. So you're just paying for the amount of users that you need, and then you get everything else that comes with it. You can also use time frames to route calls, again, for those emergency closings, early closings, or holidays. Time frames are used for time of day routing and for, putting them on your auto attendant for an intro greeting. We did do a past webinar on time frames, so feel free to hop over and take a look at that webinar. And if you have any more questions about time frames, you can send an email to support@vodacall.com and we'll have that conversation. But you would create a time frame for holiday. We can create a time frame for business hours, and we can apply that to your main number. And therefore, your main number is looking at these time frames and routing calls depending if there's anything within those time frames. So we can apply a holiday and an early emergency closing to your auto attendant as well. Therefore, your auto attendant is going to look at those time frames. So it's going to see if is today a holiday? Nope. So it's not going to play that intro greeting. But say if it was July 4th and you pre-programmed your holiday time frame for July 4th, the auto attendant recognized, oh, today's July 4th. Let's play an intro greeting that could say, hey, we're closed in observance for the holiday. We will resume normal operating hours tomorrow at 9 a.m. Please stay on the line for our normal menu options. So those are examples of how you can use auto attendants to optimize your call flow. We're going to do a quick little tutorial here. We're going to hop in the portal. We'll show you how to access your auto attendant, manage your auto attendant, and apply those perhaps holiday and emergency closing time frames. I'm going to share my screen. I got to turn off my camera to do that, so I'll be back, I promise. So I'm going to hop over my portal at myvodacall.com. And just as a note, only folks who have admin access to the portal can manage auto attendants.
Okay. And while he's doing that, folks, as we start to talk through some of this here, Kyle's going to just, bring you into the portal. He's going to show you how to make these changes. Again, while we do try to make these a little bit more just informative, if there's things that you see here, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll put you on the schedule or reach out right away and get you going.
Yep. All right, so I am now in my portal. I have the admin view. I have admin access. You'll see we have our auto attendants tab here. So I'm going to click on that. If you had multiple auto attendants, you'd see them all listed here. But I'm going to click on my main auto attendant. You're going to see my intro greetings tab. We're going to circle back to that in just a moment. But down here is our actual main auto attendant configuration. Here we have our main menu prompt. And this is where I can configure what my auto attendant greeting says to callers. I can play it and listen to it. I can download it, which is very important. If you ever need to change your auto attendant greeting, you can download the current one you have now, create the new greeting, then come back and upload your previous auto attendant recording you had before. To manage it, I can click this pencil button. I then have 3 options. We have this great text-to-speech engine where you can type in whatever you want your auto attendant to say, select a voice, play the voice to make sure you like that voice, and then click save. You also have an upload option where, again, you can upload an auto attendant greeting that you may have downloaded before, or if you want to do recording separately and send it to your computer, you can upload it. Or you can hit the record button and put in either your direct work number or cell phone number, click call. Once you answer that call, you're going to follow the prompts to do your live auto attendant recording. Then you have the menu options. So based upon what your auto attendant greeting is going to say, if I click on a vacant button here, here's all the menu options that you have available. You can send calls directly to a particular user. So if my auto attendant says for Kyle, press 1, I would click on user, and I can either put in Kyle's name or my name or my extension number. And then I can put a caller ID prefix. So as we mentioned earlier about the call routing tagging, I could say, hey, this one's for sales. My auto attendant perhaps would say, for sales, press 1. And then I would have that go straight to me. And then when that call comes into my extension, the caller ID is going to say sales, followed by the caller's actual caller ID information, so I know that's a sales call. Some other options are conference bridge. If we set up a conference bridge, you can have an option that goes straight to your bridge. Same for call queues, whether you have call queues or hunt groups, you can have calls go straight to your hunt group. And once again, you can tag those calls. So if you have an option that says for general assistance or accounting, you can then give it that prefix. And therefore, when calls ring those agents within those call queues or hunt groups, it'll let them know this was an accounting call. You also have an option for a directory, a company directory. You can send calls straight to a particular extension's voicemail or general voicemail. The voicemail management button would be for you to access, call in, and have an option to listen to your voicemails, access directly to your voicemail box. But we have other options for that as well. We also have an option where we can direct calls to an off-network phone number, meaning some companies have perhaps answering services, a third-party answering service. So you can have an after-hours attendant that says, we're closed for the evening for service, press 6, for example, and that call would route straight to your third-party answering service. It can route calls, of course, to cell phones if you have somebody who's on call, things like that. So that's what the external number option is. You also have an option to play a message. So you could say, press 6 for directions or our company hours. And same thing, you can hit the manage button. Once again, you have the same 3 options: text to speech, upload or record. Put in your message that you want to play. Then you have a few options. Once that greeting's playing, you can have it repeat the main menu greeting or follow a particular menu option here. Then, of course, you have a repeat option, and you can add a whole tier to it, which means it's another menu options off your original menu. So it's a menu off a menu, giving those additional options. Anything else you want to add to this, Dan, before I take a look at intro greetings and timeframes?
No, I just want to reiterate all what we usually say, which is don't forget we're a 24/7, 365 support organization. If you wanted to, you could just email us with some text to say, I'd like my message to say this until Monday morning, and we would go ahead and make those changes for you. Or you could say, hey, I'd like you to add a prompt to my auto attendant. We could make those changes for you. Also a good time just to say, we also have a speech directory called Chit Chat. So you could, if somebody pressed 1 for directory, you actually could just send that to an extension, and that's not going to be in there because it's a demo account, but you could send that to the extension 00 and Chit Chat would come up and it would say, please say the first and last name. So that's another feature. And then the text to speech engine is something that, I think is really great. One of the biggest complaints I've ever heard about auto attendants is no one knows how to make the changes. No one knows how to do anything. People have greetings on there that they can't get to anymore, or they don't remember how to get to them, or it lists a person that doesn't exist anymore. So there's a lot of ways around this. But our text-to-speech engine is available to you in your own personal voicemail. It's available to you here, and it's available to you in a few other places as well. So it really is a powerful tool, and just to highlight that.
Perfect. And then we're going to take a look at time frames and intro greetings. So I'm going to hop over here to my time frames tab. This is where we're going to find all of our schedules and our time frames. Click on our domain name, and here you're going to see I have a time frame for business hours, emergency closing, and holidays. So say if we had an upcoming holiday, I can click on my holidays time frame, input that date, and we'll say we'll add Thanksgiving, for example. And now I just added a holiday to my time frame. Now I need to apply my time frame to something for it to take effect. So in this example, I'm going to apply this holiday time frame to my auto attendant. So when callers call in on Thanksgiving, they'll automatically hear an intro greeting on our auto attendant, letting them know we're closed in observance for the holiday. So I'm going to come back to our auto attendant. I'm going to click this intro greetings tab. And for example, you'll see I already have our emergency close time frame in here already. Once it appears, here it is. So I can click this edit button. So if it's an emergency close, you can leave the time frames there and just simply edit the message as needed. So if you're closing early for a snow day one day, you can say we're closed due to the inclement weather, or we're closed for the snow or rain or whatever it may be. And so that's how you can manage your existing greetings. And if I wanted to add a greeting, so we're going to add my holiday greeting. So I'll click add greeting. Once again, you have the same options, text to speech. You'll type in whatever you want your message to say. We're closed for the holiday. Please stay on the line for our normal menu options. Select a voice. Select your time frame and click save, and that's all there is to it. So again, if you want to change your holiday greeting depending on the holiday, all you have to do now is make sure you update your time frame, come into the auto attendants and intro greetings and edit that message, that intro message that they're going to hear, and that's all there is to it. So that is our auto attendant tutorial. We do have some case studies that I'm going to hand over to Dan and let him go over.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So for this, there's no slides. We just kind of wanted to talk you through a couple different case studies that we've done or customers that we've helped out with auto attendants at a few different sizes. I think that there's some interesting stuff that you can do with auto attendants. And I think, using some of the features that we just showed you. And again, if you have any questions about this stuff as we go through it, please just reach out and we can do that. We'll start with a small company. It was a startup and was just beginning. And they only had about 3 people answering the phone, but they planned on hiring 15 or 20 people over the course of the next 6 to 8 months. So they were going to be taking a lot of people calling, looking for jobs. They were also sporting facility, so they were going to also be taking seat reservations from the public. And then they also wanted to do suites, so they had some corporate stuff that they wanted to be able to do as well, and then just general questions. But it was the same group of people who were going to be answering the phone all the time. So rather than just have the phones ring live, we thought that it might be better to have an auto attendant answer the phone and then route the calls based on, if you're calling about, season ticket sales, please press X. If you're calling about a suite or for corporate events, please press Y. And I probably should be using numbers here. I apologize for using letters. And if you're calling about employment, please press 5, etc. And so as we were doing that for them, we will be able to, as we were doing this for them, what we realized is they would be able to report on this. And so they'd be able to figure out, who's calling for what. And because VotoCall does have reporting built in, and because the way we set it up, they were going to be able to do that. And to get reports on their information of what people were pressing. So the good news for them is that what they realized is that they had a lot of people calling in for corporate stuff and as well as a lot of people hiring. So they could use that information to figure out who they needed to hire next. Somebody who could handle corporate sales or somebody who could handle hiring of folks, and it just helped them out. So it's just a quick example of something that you could do there. And okay, I did see a question come in. Okay, it seems like Patty, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said. We are spoiled. You are spoiled, and it's fine, but we love spoiling our clients and our customers. So the next one I wanted to talk about was Kyle just showed you how you use a time frame in order to put in like an emergency message. And the best example that I can give you here is when you call your cable company, and I'll give you a real example of someone that we did it for, but when you call your cable company to report an outage, for instance, and you hear a message that says, if you're calling about the outage in the such and such region, we're aware that this is going on and working on the issue. Well, we were able to do that for a client who runs a support desk. So their support team has, they run their retail stores. They have about 140 or 50 stores now, and their support team has a line that the stores can call. When the stores call, it says, if you're calling about an existing ticket, press 1. To open a new ticket, press 2. Or just leave a message, and we'll get back to you. So they have these 3 options that they can do. When they had a payment processing problem, meaning all of their stores couldn't run credit cards because their credit card company was down, they were immediately able to go in, activate an emergency greeting that said, "You've reached support. We're aware that there's a credit card processing issue. We'll be updating this message every 15 minutes. If you're calling about that, please hang up. Otherwise, please choose from one of the following." And they got the regular message, right? So just a nice way to be able to make it so that people in support who are actually trying to fix the issues weren't spending time taking calls from 140 different people who were noticing they couldn't process credit cards. So again, that's internal customer experience and external customer experience, right? Because in that case, even your customers or your stores calling in, or more your external clients, and your internal folks are the people in support who are going to get bombarded with phone calls and not be able to work on the issue. Okay. All right. And the last one was just actually, I have 2 more. We just helped somebody who was a large law firm, was used to having calls answered by a group of admins. Due to COVID and due to the way that people are coming back to work, those admins aren't always there. They don't know who's really in the office and who's not on any particular given day. And what they realized is that, if there was only 1 or 2 admins instead of the 3 and 4 that used to be there, sometimes people are up doing other jobs or responsibilities, and they weren't getting the phone calls answered as well as they should be. So we recommended an auto attendant to route people to who they needed. They're using ChitChat, which is our voice-enabled directory to route calls to folks that need to get to them. And it's just a much more streamlined process for them due to staffing, because of the fact that, folks aren't coming in every day of the week. They're only coming in limited. And then the last one is just a seasonal business. We have some pool stores who service swimming pools. They have a slow season and a busy season, believe it or not, because we are in the Northeast. So it's not 24, it's not 365 here. But we're able to create, we actually have some camps who do this too, but we're able to create menus that are auto attendants that sit dormant, and they just sit there. And then what we do is we repoint the phone numbers from one auto attendant to another auto attendant at certain times of the year. We can also schedule those for the folks using schedules. So we can have a specific auto attendant get calls route to an auto attendant based on what day they want to open. Now, our pool stores, they do that based on what the weather's been like, right? But our camps are a little bit more fixed, so they use scheduling. And then our pool stores are just like, hey, we need to move over to this auto attendant now. So those were just some case studies or just some quick examples of how you could use an auto attendant in real life, to actually route your calls, make your life a little bit better, and increase your internal and external customer experience.
Absolutely. A few takeaways from that. One of them is making a smaller company have that larger presence. The example of that was the sports club. Maybe they just had a few people manning the calls, but that auto attendant also gave them that larger presence. Allowed those 3 people to best answer the calls because the calls were tagged. Was a sales call or tickets calls, etc. And also using the time frames to route calls depending on the time of season, depending on the customer's needs, and if the customer had an outage such as the credit card machines, it gave the callers the heads up that bring cash. So those are my takeaways from that. Any questions, please send them along. And if there's anything else more you want to have a more in-depth conversation, again, send an email to support@votocall.com and we'll reach out and schedule time with you.
Yeah. Patty will always do your programming for you. Don't forget to fill in the poll, folks. We're here to do these for you guys. The good news about Kyle and I is that we both know a lot about phone systems and how ours works really well. But we can only kind of convey that information to you based on what you guys need. We want to make sure that we continue to just have these kind of conversations with folks. Just let them know about the features and functionality that are available to them. So that, when somebody comes to you and says, hey, can we do this? I was thinking about changing this. You say, oh yeah, we can use the phone system for that. And you'll be amazed at how many times that actually happens. So if there are no other questions, I'll just say thank you for coming. And Kyle will go ahead and to set up a time frame into an auto attendant. Yes, that is correct. You do need to be an admin in order to get to the auto attendant section. But you can reach out to us, and we can either have a conversation with whoever is our point of contact to make you to give you auto attendant access, or alternatively, we can just make the changes for you.
And I threw some resources up on the screen. We have a great training page at vodacall.com/onetraining. Here's our support links. You can open up a ticket at support.vodacall.com, or of course, send an email to support@vodacall.com. And one link I don't have on there is the link to our previous webinars. So we'll make sure we get that added. So to see our previous webinars one more time, hop over to vodacall.com, select our resources tab at the top, and then select on-demand webinars. Again, if you have any questions, send an email to support@vodacall.com.
And Patty had a question. She asked, how many admins can you have? Patty, we can create as many admins as you'd like. So the admin is called an office manager. We can also have site managers as well. So if you, or department managers. So like if you have more than one location and you want to make sure that only, the auto attendant, the office manager can manage all locations, but a site manager can only manage the auto attendants at one location. And that's it. If you guys have more questions, or you want to reach out, please just let us know. Email support@vodacall.com, and we'll be there for you. I love the party hats. Thank you so much. If I had, hold on, I have like a whistle here. We can we can do that. Right?
Nice.
All right. So there we go. All right. Thank you for being Vodacall clients. We really appreciate you. And just let us know if you need anything.
Yep. We'll see you next month. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.